Welcome to Oddball. Amin, Elhassan, Izzy, Gutierrez. We made it. We're alive. We survived All-Star Weekend and Lunar New Year, by the way. More on that perhaps later.
Hey, we survived All-Star Weekend.
Yes. Oh, that too. Yeah. Today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Hell yeah. Still haven't gotten that explanation on that joke. All right, Amin, what you said we survived was All-Star Weekend. I don't know if All-Star Weekend survived All-Star Weekend because it took so many daggers from people who did not like the new format. What actually happened was the Vets, led by Steph Curry, Shaq's team, won the first ever All-Star tournament last night. I mentioned Steph took the MVP, which was basically just who had the best highlights, it felt like. And I'm not sure what you thought about it. It was kind of bizarre. I thought you got a sense of what it was going to be like from the night before, or 2 nights before, rather, in the Rising Stars Challenge, because it was just such a mixed bag. Like, you get people coming back and being like, yeah, I was kind of trying, but some other people weren't trying. I didn't really know how to handle it. And then the pace of the game was so fast that they didn't realize they were in, a game with stakes until it was almost close to 40 points. And then it just got worse on Sunday.
No, bizarre is definitely the word. At least Friday, excuse me. I remember watching it and watching Reed or Shepard let someone just blow right by him and nobody reacting to help. And I think I turned to you and I said, holy shit, if the G League guys are too cool for school, that means we're completely cooked on Sunday. Well, Sunday, the good news is the play on court was better than it's been in the last couple of years as far as competitiveness. The best game we got was the one that had the Rising Stars playing against the Vets. That was the height of competitive basketball that we got on Sunday. But again, it was bizarre because it still had people not playing as hard as we'd like them to. And then you had so many stoppages for music, stoppages for recognizing inside the NBA, stoppages for Kevin Hart to just roast people. And I walked away just feeling like, look, if our thing was we want the players to take this more seriously, and I think that's what all of us have been wanting, I don't think the league did a good job of taking it seriously themselves. And I think we send a mixed message to the players that, hey, you want us to play hard, then we got to stop and bring out fishing tackle and bait for this elaborate Kevin Hart joke. I just didn't get it.
It can't be bells and whistles on the outside and then like a serious event in the middle yet. And that somehow the players tried to make it that way, right? They got the big speech from Adam Silver. Again, hey, take this one seriously. And they kind of did, but it didn't feel like there were stakes attached. It felt like empty competition. I'm not sure why. And I love that graphic that was on there because that made it seem even more empty when we talk about how much time was actually spent on commercial breaks versus how much time was actually spent playing basketball. And I think having Mr. Beast there was kind of like the perfect comparison or the perfect person to have there because he is the king of contrivance, like contrived drama. Oh my God, what's going to happen? I don't know. Everybody watch. And that's kind of what we were told at the NBA. Oh my God, what's going to happen? I don't know. We better watch. And we watched and it was like, okay, it's kind of fake drama. And I think it probably didn't help that it was being trashed early on by Draymond Green, but I thought it lived up to what Draymond sort of predicted.
You sounded like Larry David right there. Oh my God. That's what Larry David does.
I don't do a good Mr. Beast.
Reaction. You do a good Larry David though. So tuck that one in for the future.
All right.
Look, Izzy, it was, again, they did themselves no favors. I mean, even the trophy presentation, we didn't need a Kevin Hart little trophy joke. We just didn't need that.
It's been
okay.
Short every year.
No, but I'm just saying it's okay. Okay, like even we watch the Oscars, right? When you have a host, right? Because that's what they wanted. They wanted a host, like you have a host for the Oscars. Early on, jokes are heavy and they're coming fast, and you got like skits and stuff like that. As the night wears on and we get more and more to the important awards, the host is almost non-existent because we understand joke time is over, playtime is over. And it felt like this was all in service of Kevin Hart just doing his stick. And I like Kevin Hart, but like there's a time and place, and I don't think the league really understood it. Now, having said that, it also doesn't help when you have one of the broadcast partners, in this case, Draymond Green on the TNT set, ripping everything about it before it's even had a chance to get off the ground. I've had this conversation before about how the league needs to be more forthright with its partners. Hey, we're doing a thing here. Again, guys, we are doing a thing. We are selling something. And if we were a car dealership and you got a salesman saying, yeah, this BMW sucks. Matter of fact, all these BMWs suck. I don't even know why we sell these BMWs. I miss the BMWs we used to sell. Like, you would not have that salesman on the floor anymore. You wouldn't have them employed anymore. So the idea that we allow that kind of just straight negativity to talk. But having said that, I am really happy that Charles Barkley came out during the broadcast and said, I disagree with a lot of what Draymond had to say. The reason why we're here is because you guys let it fail. It was on your watch. We never had to do these things before because the players showed up, they were prepared, and they gave a good show, but also gave good competition.
And Draymond set himself up for that response. I mean, because he said, what the rising stars, what did they do to deserve to be on the floor All-Star Sunday? What have you guys deserved to do when you're actually on the floor on Sunday? It's not a show that people want. Like you said, they messed it up, and now the league is trying to fix it for you with these wacky changes. And if they value it enough, if they actually value it enough, this might be the test, right? It might be the test to say, okay, we kind of screwed this up. We let the league sort of take it into their own hands, and now they've made a clown show out of it. Let's go ahead and value it again. I was talking to Trae Young, I think it was Friday before the All-Star game, and I thought, yeah, look at me, Louis, whatever. Yeah. I thought it would be a situation where he's just going to, say, yeah, let's try something new, whatever. He was immediately like, no, go back to East-West, man. Like, that's what we want. That's what we care about. And it did feel like there was a little bit of ownership being taken from these players. And I thought it was kind of a weird comparison to make because it was the same weekend as Four Nations, right? The NHL thing going on. And when U.S. played Canada, there were 3 fights right off the bat this weekend. And it was like obvious there were stakes in an event that's never happened before. Like it's got no history, nothing. And then you contrast that with the NBA, sort of this contrivance, again, forcing them to care. I think the pendulum has probably swung far enough for it to get back in the players' hands and them to take ownership of it.
Yeah, I mean, or this could be like when people say they're going to do the dunk contest next year, and then by the time next year comes around, nobody actually does anything. Again, we're here because of them. We didn't get to this place because we thought, ooh, this is the best way to do an all-star weekend. We got to this place because you guys dropped the ball. And speaking of dropping the ball, I'm going to take 2 guys to task. That's LeBron James and Anthony Edwards. Both of them showed up to the event and let us all know that they weren't going to play because they were hurt. Look, I'm not asking anyone to play hurt. If you're hurt, you're hurt. That's it. But for LeBron, who's been dealing with that ankle and foot issue for a while, to not just tell the league early on, hey, man, I'm not going to make it, so we can get an injury replacement in there. Not only someone to play, but also that might be an opportunity for someone else to experience All-Star Weekend who otherwise wasn't going to get there. And then the other part of this, Izzy, and I think this speaks a little bit more kind of poignantly. LeBron didn't even dress out. Like, typically the thing when you're injured is you dress out, you do the photos, you come out, and then basically you go back and change into your regular clothes after that. He did the team photo in civilian clothes. And to me,
it's almost a definition of too cool for school.
Or also, as me and George Sedano coined a long time ago, LeBron doesn't leave breadcrumbs. He leaves whole loaves of bread. Like, that's not an accident. That's him. That's his method of protesting. What was he protesting? I don't know. But he was protesting something because that's almost defiance to come out and say, I'm not going to put on the sweats for even these photos.
It's exactly what's wrong with the weekend and with the tournament or the game. And it's not to put everything on LeBron James, but I think you are kind of at a loss how we got here, right? Like, when did that happen? But to me, I think there was a clear sort of point where after Kobe, it just sort of fell off, the competitiveness, because you need somebody, not just anybody. It can't just be, and I'm not saying he's just an anybody, but Russell Westbrook. Like, he's not going to go in there, play hard and save the All-Star game. It has to effectively be sort of the tone that the face or the very top of the league set for everybody, whether it be back Michael Jordan, it's competitiveness no matter what. And then it was Kobe Bryant and everybody followed suit. You know, him and Dwayne Wade, his nose getting broken in an All-Star game. I love it. That was all competitiveness. LeBron James has been that different personality from the beginning, almost the guy fearful to lose, afraid to make a fool of himself, not be vulnerable out there. And there's a Mac McClung quote that I love about why he did this dunk contest for a third time. He said initially he wasn't going to do it, but then he decided that he was making that decision out of fear. He said, I want to make decisions out of love, not out of fear, and try, get as much as I can out of that. And that just connects with me with this so much. It's like, hey, Draymond, if you really love this All-Star game, if it means something to you, then make these decisions not because, I don't want to get hurt, or because people aren't really saying that. The players themselves aren't anyway. Or I don't want to make a fool of myself. Just go out and compete and just love the game again, and it'll show out there on the floor. And so, Mac deserves so much credit for saving the weekend basically the last 3 years. And if you just follow suit with what he is saying there, I think the rest of the weekend can be saved. This is also the only time where I absolutely need to hear from the old heads, because they valued the All-Star game and the young guys just aren't.
Yeah, isn't it crazy, Izzy? We don't remember the losers of dunk contests, right? We might remember the runner-up. Like, we remember Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon didn't win, but we thought, wow, what a great routine he put on. We remember Desmond Mason versus Jason Richardson, right?
There's a few people who missed a bunch of dunks that we remember, but
don't remember. Like we remember Birdman because it took him 100 attempts, and we amended the rules for that. Nate Robinson was another one. It took him 100 attempts, and it got awkward, right? But by and large, the majority of guys that get knocked out in the first round, I don't remember their routine. I don't remember it at all, because it doesn't matter. It's in a weird way. Participating in it is serious. Performing in it isn't. We just want to see guys that we watch every day dunk on people. Say, I want to see you come participate in this. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to be the best dunker ever. We just want to see you there. And I think every year we've got players who are big name players, who are young players, like the way it used to be. When you look at Jordan and Dominique and Vince Carter and Jason Richardson and all these great dunkers, they were all like in their first few years in the league, yes, but also it wasn't like, who's this guy? You already knew who they were. And like Saturday night, what we got was Mac McClung. We know who he is, but no disrespect, he's not an NBA player. He's a G League player who gets called up to the NBA just to be eligible, I guess.
Well, there's a video of him talking to a fan with his jersey on him, and the guy doesn't even recognize that it's Mac McClung talking to him. So it's absolutely perfect. So
you got that. You've got Stephon Castle. Okay, that's a good pick. And Andre Jackson, right? So
he might be remembered for his lackadaisical effort.
I don't think it will be, because it's Monday and I'm trying to remember. I guess his first one I remember, but I just don't remember. And then Matas Buzelis, who most people couldn't pick out of life. I asked someone to pick the G Leaguer, and maybe half the people would pick him because he played in G League Ignite last year. So it's just like, hey, John Morant was a first, second, third year player in this league and didn't compete. And Edwards was a first, second, third year player in this league and didn't compete in this. And so on and so forth. And again, if we're gonna lay the blame on someone, we're gonna lay the blame on LeBron, right? Who by the way was asked about it, and he's like, I have zero regrets. Like, yeah, but you made it. I understand sometimes, like, hey man, it's not my thing. I don't want to do it. But Izzy, there's a part of this where it's like you have a responsibility because of who you are, your participation or non-participation, your effort or non-effort influences inadvertently generations of guys after that.
A couple of things about the format that I didn't mention that I wanted to get to. So it's already one thing that the fans are sort of ruined the experience for them because they don't see a competitive game. But didn't we also kind of ruin the whole voting for starters process? I talked about this when we were picking our starters. All that starters and reserves was out the door when you're picking these teams, right? Yeah. And then the other thing is you're also ruining the experience, or at least semi-ruined the experience for some of these first-time All-Stars. Because I was watching Tyler Hero's sort of, narration of the day and going through everything. It's just like, oh, wow, I'm in the locker room here with Steph and LeBron. Why is he in that locker room? He should just be in the locker room with the first and second year players, first of all, because that was his team, right? But also, you're not sharing the jerseys with those guys. You're not sharing it. You're not on the same team with Steph, LeBron. You're on the same team with a bunch of first and second year players. It's a different experience for them than it was for the international team or for the guys on the LeBron team. I just didn't love it. I didn't think they really thought that through. And Tyler was being diplomatic about it, but he didn't love the fact that he was out there for a quarter of basketball. These guys score 40 points so fast. I mean, that wasn't well thought out.
Again, yes, and also, why are we doing this? The fact that any player could complain about the format. We're here because of you. Yes, Tyler Hero, not you, because it's your first time, but your brethren around it. And then when you get in the game, do you continue the thing that made us have to seek these drastic changes? And that's the part where I just wish some of the players would say, yeah, it sucked, but that's our fault because we did this. And we have to collectively come together and fix it.
This has become Complaint Monday after all the All-Star game for the last several years. And KD actually seems to be sick of it. He put up this tweet that I think it's more fun to complain about the NBA than actually watch it. Crazy, cancel All-Star weekend, and let's just give everybody a break since we're so miserable around this time. It's kind of the same sort of discussion about the game not being great. And Draymond said the game wasn't great and it was boring. And then we had Oscar Robertson. I take him out absolutely with a quote that said effectively, it's boring for him because all he does is pass to Steph Curry. Like when he gets that benefit of passing to Steph Curry, who else gets to do that all the time, right? And so I don't think, we need to cancel anything. I don't think we need to complain in the media about how bad the game is. I think there's one group of people that can fix All-Star Weekend. We just said it. It's the players. And in terms of what he's saying about the game being bad, or boring or predictable or accidental basketball, that's not the case with the best teams. That's not the case with the best players. They play different kinds of basketball. So it's just a matter of, the formulaic stuff, the stuff that you get bored of seeing. It's probably bad teams that don't have somebody that can really, get them out of that routine and sort of shake them free of all that stuff. And then when you get to the playoffs, it's not accidental basketball anymore. It's legit. So don't trash the game when you are in full control over it.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're here because of your actions. And now either be the change you want to see or be quiet and let us experiment away. One of the two, right? But this is like someone who has a rotting tooth, right? And refuses to brush and refuses to floss and refuses to water pick and he refuses to use mouthwash. And at some point, the dentist is like, yo, we got to take that tooth out and put like a veneer or something like that. And you're like, oh, no, I don't want that. Well, man, take care of your teeth. Take care of your gums.
Person going to the dentist, but doing nothing else once he gets home.
Unbelievable. All right. Let's take a quick break here. On the other side, we're checking out some footage from our time at All-Star Weekend.
Welcome back to Oddball. Let's complain about the All-Star Monday, which I'm sure the league loves. Me and Juju were there in San Francisco, the Bay Area, because there was some Oakland involved too. Low-key, my favorite part was I figured I would find a cheap way to ask guys their favorite pasta dish. And I was just going to use Kendrick Lamar's most non-serious. He had such a serious Super Bowl halftime, right? But he dropped the one line that's the most unserious line in the history of hip hop, Caci Pepe if I'm doing pasta. And so I asked Reed Shepherd, of all people, Reed Shepherd, that question about Kendrick Lamar, and he didn't really know any Kendrick Lamar lines or didn't really like Kendrick Lamar and only listened to country music and gave me a very bad answer about pasta. And so I just gave up that whole thing.
What was his favorite pasta? Mac and cheese? Some crab mac and cheese.
It was something like that. Also, by the way, Brandon Pajemski, hard no when I asked him if he was a Kendrick Lamar fan. Makes me think twice about him. But we got a few good clips here. We got Juju first. A little look at me, Louie here, talking to Kyrie Irving about all the madness going on with the Mavericks.
Kyrie, without a noise surrounding you and the Mavericks, how do you stay grounded within all of this?
I mean, it's part of our business. I wouldn't necessarily call it noise. You know, this is what drives the engine of our business. And, you know, it's the other side of our responsibility as artists or as athletes is being engaging. And, you know, sometimes when you're dealing with things in the public eye, it's not always going to be received the right way or, you know, positively by everybody, which is, you know, perfectly healthy and normal. To include others is also a beautiful thing. You know, I'm not on this journey alone. So being compassionate, being kind, and also not being afraid to be human. You know, all our emotions fluctuate when we really love what we do. So, you know, I love the people that show up, you know, every day, and they're not going to be the same, but they're going to be honest and transparent and work towards that goal. And that's, you know, for me, win championships in this league.
We spent the whole A block talking about who's going to save the All-Star weekend. And now I'm like, is Kyrie the guy? Because he was one of the guys who played great. He played hard. He played defense. He put on a show. And I listened to Kyrie talk. I was like, is this the savior we've been looking for?
Is this the same person from a few years ago is my thing. Like, he has changed his sort of image so much. Like, even there, just using the words compassion and caring about others, not saying that he was, you know, a jerk to everybody, but he certainly did some things that maybe didn't show compassion to every human being. And now he just seems like he is, you know, he was Mr. Personality out there. He's the fans NBA player now. And, you know, even him saying things like this to sort of calm things or sort of, you know, at least acknowledge the fans and everything that they're going through in Dallas and just sort of, you know, bringing everybody together. Like, Kyrie, whether it's genuine or not, whether it's him just repairing his image, he just seems like a totally different person.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we got to acknowledge is that, like, he's grown, he's changed. He's not the same guy he was a few years ago. It really irritates me when we criticize someone for behavior and then later on they've adjusted and they've grown and their defenders from back then are like, whoa, I thought you didn't like him. Well, now you want, like, well, no, there's been a change and we got to acknowledge the change, regardless, by the way, if the change is sincere or not, whether he's just playing the part, so to speak, or if he actually believes it. I don't care from a business standpoint. Again, we're doing a thing here. We're trying to sell this. And whenever you have a guy like Kyrie who speaks that in a positive manner, that passionately in the positive towards our game, I think that's a good thing.
It does give off a little, speaking of Kendrick Lamar, Samuel L. Jackson, Uncle Sam, don't you know how to play the game? Like, he seems like he's just playing the game now, whether it's sincere or not, like you said. And again, that's fine. If that's how we want to do it, nobody's going to dig in and say, hey, you're not being real. As long as he's representing himself in a certain way, yeah, you're fine. This is definitely better than the alternative, which was, we don't need to revisit.
All right, let's go. We got to play a game of Hot Streak. We're going to have games until Thursday, but that doesn't stop us. Remember, Hot Streak is presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Hell yeah.
All right, Pat Spencer and them boys let me down. I was in the back in the mix zone watching that game, cheering my little heart out. But unfortunately, they could not bring it home. So now we got Lakers, Blazers. Lakers are 4.5-point favorites on the road. This is the second time. Oh, excuse me. This is the second game in a back-to-back for LA. You think the Blazers can keep it close, Izzy?
The Blazers have been on one, and I don't really know with with LeBron, is it really a foot ankle issue? Is he going to feel great? I'm afraid of this game, and it's mostly because the Blazers have been kind of unpredictable.
All right, the other game we have is Spurs versus Suns. Spurs are 2.5-point favorites. Wemby made a show trying hard during All-Star tourney. Will he try harder in their first game back from the break? I'll answer that question. Yes, he will. So are you surprised the Spurs are the favorite here, Izzy?
I'm not, because I think if you're a better, like, you look at that roster and you're like, man, that's a nice team there, obviously with De'Aaron Fox now. So I don't really love what the Suns, have shown us before the All-Star break, but they're also capable of everything. So I'm kind of scared to death of this game too.
All right, last one, Clippers versus Bucks. Bucks are 2-point favorites. It's Kyle Kuzma's fourth game with the Bucks. Giannis, I don't think is going to play, so I'm kind of surprised that the Bucks are 2-point favorites.
Yeah, I like the Clippers in this one. This probably feels like the game to pick. Clippers +2.
I'm with you here. Clippers +2 is our pick. Let's see if we can start another streak.
I don't think we've gotten back-to-back. I don't think we've technically gotten a streak yet, but when we do, I feel like it's going to hit double figures. It's a weird, crazy Draymond prediction.
Yeah, gee, we didn't even talk about that one.